1 Kings chapter 3. Solomon entered into a marriage alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her to the city of David until he had finished building his own palace, the Lord's house, and the wall around Jerusalem. Meantime, the people were sacrificing at the high places because no house for the name of the Lord had yet been built. That is why Solomon also sacrificed and burnt incense at the high place, although he loved the Lord and followed the commands of David his father. Solomon prays for wisdom. The king went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices because that was the most important high place, and on the altar there he offered 1,000 burnt offerings. At Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream, and God said, "Ask for anything that you want me to give you." Solomon answered, "You have shown your servant David my father a great and steadfast love because he served you faithfully and was righteous and sincere towards you. You have given him proof of your steadfast love in making a son of his to sit on his throne this day. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of David my father, although I am but a little child who does not know how to undertake anything. Meantime, your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a people so numerous that they can neither be numbered nor counted. Give me therefore an understanding mind in governing your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this numerous people of yours?" The Lord was pleased that Solomon had made this request, and he told him, "Because you have requested this rather than long life or wealth, or even vengeance on your enemies, but have asked for yourselves understanding to discern what is right, I will grant you your request. I now give you a wise and discerning mind, such as no one has had before you, nor anyone after you shall ever have. I will also give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and fame, and no king shall be your equal during your lifetime. Moreover, if you will walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and commands, as your father David did, I shall give you long life." Solomon woke up and he realized that it was a dream. So he went to Jerusalem, and standing before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, offered up burnt offerings and peace offerings, and gave a feast for all his servants. The judgment of Solomon. Then 2 harlots came to the king and stood before him. One of the 2 women said, "O my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I gave birth to a child while she was there with me. 3 days after my child was born, the woman also gave birth. We were alone, and there was no one in the house but the 2 of us. Then this woman's sons died during the night because she lay on him. So during the night she got up, took my son from my side while I slept, laid it beside her, and her dead son beside me. When I got up in the morning to nurse my child, I saw it was dead. But when I looked at it closely in the morning, I saw that it was not my child." The other woman said, "No, the living child is mine. The dead child is yours." To this the first replied, "Not so, the dead child is yours, the living child is mine." And they quarreled this way in the king's presence. Then the king said, "One says, 'This is my son who is alive, your son is dead.' The other says, 'That is not so, your son is dead, my son is the living one.'" And the king said, "Bring me a sword." When they brought the king a sword, he gave this order, "Divide the child in 2 and give half to the other, half to the other." Then the woman who was the mother of the living child said to the king out of pity for her son, "O my lord, give her the living child, but spare its life." The other woman, however, said, "It shall be neither mine nor yours, divide it." Then the king spoke, give the living child to the first woman and spare its life. She is its mother. When all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had given, they marveled at him, seeing that God's wisdom was in him to render justice. 1 Kings chapter 4. Solomon's grandeur. King Solomon was king over all Israel and had the following of his high officials. Azariah son of Zadok was the priest. Elihoreph and Ahijah sons of Shisha was secretaries. Jehoshaphat son of Ahilud was recorder. Benaiah son of Jehoiada was general of the army. Zadok and Abiathar were priests. Azariah son of Nathan was head of the officers. Zabud son of Nathan was priest and the king's personal advisor. Abishai was in charge of the palace, and Adoniram son of Abda was in charge of forced labor. Solomon had 12 governors over all Israel who provided food for the king and his household, each one of them making provisions for 1 month during the year. These were their names: Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Deker in Mekaz, Shalbim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon Bethanan, Ben-Hesed in Arabos. To him belonged Succoth and all the land of Hepher. Ben-Abinadab in all of Naphthoth. He had Tapha, daughter of Solomon, as his wife. Baana, son of Ahilud, in Tanach, Megiddo, and all of Beth-Shean, besides Zarethan below Jezreel. And from Beth-Shean to Abel-Meholah, as far as Jochmeam and beyond. Ben-Geba in Ramoth Gilead. He had the villages of Jair, son of Manasseh, who are in Gilead, as also the region of Agog in Bashan, 60 big towns, walled and barred with brazen bars. Ahinadab, son of Edo, in Mahanaim. Ahimaaz in Naphtali. He had taken Basemath, daughter of Solomon, as his wife. Baana, son of Hushai, in Asher and Bealoth. Jehoshaphat, son of Paruah, in Issachar. Shimei, son of Elah, in Benjamin. Geba, son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and of Og, king of Bashan. And there was also a prefect in the land of Judah. Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand on the seashore, eating and drinking and making merry. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates to the land of the Philistines and unto the frontiers of Egypt. All these paid tribute and served Solomon during his lifetime. Solomon's provision for 1 day was 30 cors of fine flour, 60 cors of meal, 10 fat oxen, 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep, besides hares, gazelles, roebucks, and fattened fowl. He ruled over all the region west of the Euphrates, from Tipsha to Gaza, and all over all its king, and he had peace on all frontiers. Judah and Israel lived in security, from Dan to Beersheba, and every man was safe under his vine and under his fig tree, as long as Solomon lived. Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. All these officials supplied provisions for King Solomon and for all his guests at table, each one providing during his assigned month, ensuring that nothing was lacking. They also brought barley and straw for the horses and swift starts wherever the king stayed, each doing this during his appointed month. God gave Solomon great wisdom and understanding, and knowledge as vast as the sand on the shore, so that his wisdom surpassed that of all the people of the east and of the Egyptians. He was wiser than any man, wiser than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Herman, Calcod and Dada, sons of Mahol, and his fame spread among all the surrounding nations. He composed 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs. He spoke of all the trees, from the cedar in Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of the wall. He also spoke of beasts, birds, reptiles, and fish. People from all nations came to hear the wisdom of Solomon, sent by all the kings of the earth who had heard of his wisdom. Psalm 134. Come, night before the Lord. Come, bless the Lord, all you servants of the Lord, who minister by night in the house of the Lord, in the courts of the house of God. Raise your hands to the sanctuary and bless the Lord. May the Lord bless you from Zion, he who made heaven and earth. John chapter 6, verse 45 to 71. It has been written in the prophets, Thou shalt all be taught by God. Whoever listens and learns from the Father comes to me. For no one has seen the Father except the one who is from God. He alone has seen the Father. Truly I say to you, he who believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. Though your ancestors ate the manna in the desert, they died. But here you have the bread which comes down from heaven, so that you may eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which has come down from heaven. Whoever eats of this bread will live forever. The bread I shall give is my own flesh, and I will give it for the life of the world. The Jews started arguing among themselves, How can this man give us his flesh to eat? So Jesus replied, I am telling you the truth. If you do not eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day. My flesh is real food, and my blood is real drink. He who eats of my flesh and drinks my blood lives in me, and I in him. Just as the Father who is life sent me, and I have life from the Father, so he who eats me will have life from me. This is the bread which came down from heaven, unlike what your ancestors ate and still died. He who eats this bread will live forever. Jesus said all this in Capernaum, where he taught them in the synagogue. The words of eternal life. After hearing these, many of Jesus' followers said, This sort of teaching is very hard. Who can accept it? Jesus was aware that his disciples were murmuring about this, and so he said to them, Does this offend you? Then how will you react when you see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before? It is the Spirit that gives life. The flesh cannot help. The words that I have spoken to you are spirit, and they are life. Yet among you there are some who do not believe. From the beginning Jesus knew who did not believe and who would betray him. So he added, This is why I told you, no one can come to me unless it is given to him by the Father. After this, many disciples withdrew and no longer followed him. Jesus asked the 12, Will you also go away? Simon Peter answered, Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. We have come to believe, and now we know that you are the Holy One of God. Jesus said to them, I chose you, the 12, did I not? Yet one of you is a devil. Jesus was speaking of Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. He, one of the 12, was the one who would betray him.